is an instrument, a tool. It is there to be used for a specific task, and when the task is completed, you lay it down. As it is, I would say about 80 to 90% of people's thinking is not only repetitive and useless, but because of its dysfunctional and often negative nature, much of it is also harmful. And you will find this to be true. It causes a serious leakage of vital energy. This kind of compulsive thinking is actually an addiction. What characterizes an addiction? Quite simply this: you no longer feel that you have a choice to stop. It seems stronger than you. It also gives you a false sense of pleasure that turns into pain. Why should we be addicted to thinking? Because many people are identified with it, which means that you derive your sense of self from the content and activity of your mind, because you believe that you would cease to be you if you stopped thinking. As you grow up, you form a mental image of who you are based on your personal and cultural conditioning. We may call this the phantom self, the ego. It consists of mind activity and can only be kept going through the constant thinking. The term ego means different things to different people, but when I use it here, it means a false self created by unconscious identification with the mind. To the ego, the present moment hardly exists. Only past and future are considered important. This total reversal of the truth accounts for the fact that in the ego mode, the mind is so dysfunctional. It is always concerned with keeping the past alive, because without it, who are you? It constantly projects itself into the future to ensure its continued survival and to seek some kind of release or fulfillment there. It says, one day, when this, that, or the other happens, I am going to be okay. Even when the ego seems to be concerned with the present, it is not the present that it sees. It misperceives it completely because it looks at it through the eye of the past. Or it reduces the present to a means to an end that always lies in the mind-projected future. Observe your mind and you'll see that this is how it works. The present moment holds the key to liberation, but you cannot find the present moment as long as you are in your mind. I don't want to lose my ability to analyze and discriminate. I wouldn't mind learning to think more clearly or in a more focused way, but I don't want to lose my mind. The gift of thought is the most precious thing we have. Without it, we would just be another species of animal. The predominance of mind is no more than a stage in the evolution of consciousness. We need to go on the next stage now as a matter of urgency. Otherwise, we will be destroyed by the mind, which has grown into a monster. I will talk about this in more detail later. Thinking and consciousness are not synonymous. Thinking is only a small aspect of consciousness. Thought cannot exist without consciousness, but consciousness does not need thought. Enlightenment means rising above thought, not falling back to a level below thought, the level of an animal or a plant. In an enlightened state, you will use your thinking mind when needed and in a much more focused and effective way than before. You use it mostly for practical purposes, but you are free of the involuntary internal dialogue that there is inner stillness when you do use your mind, or when a creative solution is needed. You oscillate every few minutes or so between thought and stillness, between mind and no mind. No mind is consciousness without thought. Only that way it is possible to think creatively, because only in that way does thought have any real power. Thought alone, when it is no longer connected with the much vaster realm of consciousness, quickly becomes barren, insane, and destructive. The mind is essentially a survival machine, attack and defense against other minds, gathering, storing, analyzing information, is good at, but it is not at all creative. All true artists, whether they know it or not, create from a place of no mind, from inner stillness, the mind that gives form to the creative impulse or insight. Even the great scientists have reported that their creative break thoughts have come at a time of mental quietude. The surprising result of a nationwide inquiry among America's most eminent mathematicians, including Einstein, to find out their working methods was that thinking plays only a subordinate part in the brief, decisive phase of the creative act itself. So I would say that the simple reason why the majority of scientists are not creative, it is not because they don't know how to think, but because they don't know how to stop thinking. It wasn't through the mind, through thinking, that the miracle that is life on earth or your body was created and is being sustained. There is clearly an intelligence at work that is far greater than the mind. The more we learn about the workings of the body, the more we realize just how vast is the intelligence that work within it and how little we know. When the mind reconnects with that, it becomes a most wonderful tool. It then serves as something greater than itself. But what about emotions? I get caught up in my emotions more than I do in my mind. In the way I use the word is not just thought. It includes your emotions as well as all unconscious, mental, emotional, reactive patterns. Emotion arises at the place where the mind and body meet. It is the body's reaction to your mind, or you might say a reflection of your mind that is in the body. A hostile thought will create a buildup of energy in the body that we call anger. The body is getting ready to fight. The thought of you being threatened physically or psychologically causes the body to contract. This is the physical side of what we call fear. Research has shown that strong emotions even cause changes in the biochemistry of the body. These biochemical changes represent the physical and material aspect of emotion. Of course, you are not usually conscious of all your thought patterns. It is often only thought, watching your emotions, that you can bring them into awareness. The more you are identified with your thinking, your likes and dislikes and judgments and interpretations, which is to say, the less present you are as the watching consciousness, the stronger the emotional energy charge will be, whether you are aware of it or not. If you cannot feel your emotions, if you are cut off from them, you will eventually experience them on a purely physical level, as a physical problem or a physical symptom. A great deal has been written about this in recent years, so we don't need to go in there. A strong unconscious emotional pattern may even manifest as an external event that appears just to happen to you. For example, I have observed that people who carry a lot of anger inside without being aware of it and without expressing it are more likely to be attacked verbally or even physically by other angry people, often for no apparent reason. They have a strong emanation of anger that certain people pick up subliminally, and that triggers their own anger. Difficulty feeling your emotions. Start by focusing your attention on the inner energy field of your body. Feel the body from within. This will also put you in touch with your emotions. We will explore this in more detail later. You say that an emotion is the mind's reflection in the body, but sometimes there is a conflict between the two. The mind says no, while the emotion says yes, or the other way around. If you really wanted to know your mind, the body will always give you a truthful reflection